Hey, what's up everyone? Just redemption time because I was going to post this leading up to the exciting reveal launch of the Song Machine Season 1 by Gorillaz, but instead work and life got in the way as they usually do. So that's the end of the king of all excuses doing his thing. But I did the Road to Rilla's Season 1 singles kind of track reviews earlier in the week, and my goal, which I didn't achieve, was to do this video and another video. It was going to be like a three-thing Road to the Rilla's, as I was calling it. That's my loving name for the Gorillaz. And so that didn't happen, and here we are, and the album's been out for um, 24 hours or so. More actually. I've got to listen to it like 3 times, and it's really good. Spoiler alert. Um, so I'm not going to do a review on it yet because, things I don't get when people listen to something once or twice or thrice and then all of a sudden they can give you their opinion. I have to let it ruminate and percolate up here and, listen to it some more and see where its place is in their legacy or whatever. But it's really good anyway. Today we're talking about the Gorillaz, the Gorillaz singles collection, 2001 till 2011. So really, they could do a volume 2. They've had 3 phases, which is what they call their album cycles since. But this was a really unexpected at the time greatest hits because they'd only release 3 phases, the first, second, and third phase, the third being Plastic Beach, which had a huge world tour and everything, and then they were pretty much going on a hiatus. They disappeared. So of course, the record labels have to get product out, so they released this one. So this is a 1 CD, 1 DVD set, and it's really amazing. It's got this fold out with all this crazy art, very akin to Exile on Main Street, Rolling Stones, except with, all these crazy cartoon characters and all that, and all the different art styles from the different phases. And you got your little booklet here, which folds into a poster, which is pretty cool actually, but I never did anything with that. Then you got your little slipcase CDs. It's really in there because I haven't played this in a while. Not physically, at least. Digitally. The credits. And yeah, there's Noodle and everyone, and Tootie and Russell and Murdoch. No Ace. Ace is his little blip in their legacy is going to be like the weirdest thing in retrospect. It already kind of is. It's weird when fans say, hey, where's Ace? And then as I struggle to get the DVD out, you get all the music videos, and Gorillaz are maybe a band where you'd actually want to see some of the music videos because they're creative and they're good and they add to the experience. And in addition to that, you have Kids with Guns from the Demon Days, the live era, and you have the, which is amazing. The live version is even better than the studio mix, in my opinion, just because Nina Cherry's delivery is just so intense and just powerful. And then you have Superfast Jellyfish, which is a really fun entry from Plastic Beach. It's from live from the Roundhouse. And then you have the 192000 music video, but you also have the Soul Child remix, which I remember getting played on the radio as much as the original version, which is pretty crazy. And then you have all the other videos, Tomorrow Comes Today onwards to what was the latest one at the time, On Melancholy Hill. And I don't remember this, but they're not in order, which is kind of weird. And then, of course, Donkeymatic, which was a non-album track. So this one starts off with Tomorrow Comes Today, which was the very first Gorillaz single, and it either wasn't released in North America first, or it just didn't impact our scene at all. but in the UK and that it was, you know, it was quite big. Damon Albarn from Blur, one of the biggest bands of the 90s, Blur versus Oasis, you know, and he's doing this crazy new thing, you know, while Oasis are starting to kind of stagnate and become much less interesting, in my opinion, generally. Um, and yeah, so he comes up with this crazy product and project even, and yeah, Tomorrow Comes Today, which is this crazy, you know, it's chill, but it's kind of stirring and haunting, and it's got like a kind of a trip hop way about it, and it's, you know, quite melancholy. It's an amazing song, one of their best. They have a lot of classics from the debut, and they didn't even all become singles, but I just feel that that's a modern day classic, and the track is as well. It's a great intro to the band. Next up is Clint Eastwood, which was my intro to the band, and I think probably watching the music video was on Much Music was the very first exposure to it. And this, of course, is featuring Del the Funky Homo Sapien, who is a very talented rapper in his own right, and he'd been around for a long time at the time, and mainstream success had kind of eluded him, and he did this project, you know, not really thinking too much of it. I think he was just interested in the, you know, creative endeavor and, you know, the wealth he would enjoy creatively. But then it became, you know, 6 months to a year later, it became quite a huge hit, at least on alternative radio. And he, you know, was in the city or something, and one of his friends said, you know, we just heard you on the radio. And he's like, oh, that's weird, because he didn't think he had anything out at the time. And then he realized it was this weird, you know, project that he did. And of course, you know, that song, you know, not being one of their popular hits anymore, you know, Feel Good Inc. eclipsed it commercially, bar none, but, you know, that song's always synonymous with their legacy, and people are always wondering, because he doesn't show up to live shows as much as a lot of the rappers and the other collaborators, but when he does, it makes the headlines, actually, when he shows up to do the song with them. It's just amazing, you know, nice kind of long song, mix of 2Ds, kind of melancholy choruses, excuse me, with these two completely epic, out of the ordinary rap verses. He's quite a talent, and in the music video, his character is like taking on the soul of Russell, the drummer, and Russell just becomes like his whole persona goes blank, and the spirit comes up and starts, you know, rapping, and yeah, kicking some knowledge to them via his rhymes. 192000 is the next track, and that's kind of it's a fun little kind of ditty. Tina from Talking Heads is on it. It's got that refrain everyone knows, get the cool shoe shine, and like, you know, who knows what it means or whatever, but it's a cool song. Had a cool video with them in the Jeep. Rock the House is next, and that's with Del as well. Del the Funky Homo Sapien, and this one's like got this really like crazy kind of old school beat to it, and it's very kind of pumping, and I'm always surprised it wasn't a bigger hit. Maybe it's too vulgar right out the get-go to make it, though living in an era with, you know, WAP or WAP, you know, it's like, why didn't this make it? I don't know. And then, of course, is the huge mammoth single next, Feel Good Inc., with the incredible talents of De La Soul, who are known for their backpacker rap and their whole legacy, especially their first album, but they went on to do amazing albums after that, and especially in the 90s, I would say. And yeah, so Feel Good Inc. just became this huge thing thanks to, I think it was in an iPod commercial, but then the video became huge and the song became huge, and I remember hearing it at parties and being like, wow, because it didn't really go in with the other party music at the time. And then you have and it's an amazing song. It was overplayed as heck, and you know, you take 6 months to a year away from it, and then you come back and you realize, yeah, that was a cool song. It's nowhere near my favorite off Demon Days, but I can see how it became this huge hit. Like between the crazy laughing, that super catchy bass line, you know, the chorus juxtaposed with De La Soul's, you know, crazy raps, and you know, they're like yelling some of their rhymes, and the juxtaposition is incredible too. So, you know, I wouldn't put it in my top 15, you know, Gorillaz tracks, but I can see why it's the most famous, and, you know, and I'm all happy for them because, you know, it brought a lot more people to the band, to becoming fans of the band, and kind of cemented where they are now in the pop, you know, canon. Next up is a personal favorite of mine, not only because it's Shawn Ryder from Happy Mondays featuring on it, but because it's one of the catchiest, most danceable songs that's ever existed, in my opinion, and that's Dare. And it's so fun. It's got an amazing instrumental with this kind of crazy bass, um, and Shawn Ryder is just, I mean, he's a legend, and you wouldn't expect him to do something like this. And this is really the start of seeing collaborators that you wouldn't even expect to see on this kind of sort of pop project. And they just get all these crazy collaborators somehow. And yeah, Shawn Ryder from the Happy Mondays. Dirty Harry is next, and that's with Booty Brown from the Far Side. And it's got this whole crazy children's choir a la Another Brick in the Wall, part 2, and yeah, the whole I need a gun to keep myself from harm refrain is kind of the legend behind this song, and that goes back to a song that Damon Albarn was working on solo from Demo Crazy, which is a play on words of democracy, obviously, and which was this weird demo album that came out, and people thought it was kind of his debut solo album, which disappointed everyone because it wasn't. It was just a bunch of demos, kind of the worst marketing thing you could do. Anyway, that track was thankfully saved from that project and went on to Demon Days, and I would say is one of the highlights of that incredible, incredible record. Kids with Guns is next, and Kids with Guns was I don't know if it was just a promo single, but I don't remember it getting any airplay, but it's an incredible song, and it's got Nina Cherry on it, so another legend from that side of the music scene. It's a great song. It starts off really slow, kind of like the song before it off that album, Demon Days, really slow and kind of introspective, and then kind of gets going. El Manana is next, and I always remember when we saw this one live in 2010. This is one of the highlight singles, and one of the highlight tracks from Demon Days, in my opinion. This one always sticks out because it's so emotional and just so honest, and I believe that's Simon Tong on guitar. This is one of the rare Gorillaz singles like Tomorrow Comes Today where there isn't this huge name front and center on the single, on the track, and they've done a few more in recent years. Not very many, though, actually, to be honest with you. There's always, like, a big name attached to the single, like Snoop Dogg, or, you know, George Benson, like an old legend like that, or, you know, these days Elton John, holy, Robert Smith, oh my god, Peter Hook, what? Slow Tie, all these crazy names, and this one's just essentially, you know, Damon and the guys working it out in the studio, and they wrote this really honest song, and, like, it carries this emotional weight that, you know, nothing Blur even did, save for some of the stuff off 13. That amazing album. You know, none of the Blur stuff even was that, you know, honest and direct and sad. But yeah, we'll give you know, the 13 album is an exception with No Distance Left to Run and Tender and all those, you know, oh, pull at your heartstrings songs. Then you go completely in another direction with Stylo, which is one of the biggest sounding songs from the Gorillaz canon, or from any, hit at the time, or even going forward to now. It just sounds massive. I remember the first apartment I moved out of my parents, and I got this new sound system with this crazy subwoofer, which I still have over there. And I don't use it that much anymore, but I used it all the time back in the day. And my friend was helping me hook it up, and he said, "Oh, what song do you want to play to test your new stereo system?" And I don't know if I can take credit that it was me that came up with this, or him, and he can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it might have been him, to be honest, because we were going, for a couple minutes or a minute, we were like, I don't know, what should we play? And then it's like Stylo, and we just blew, the whole roof off the dump just listening to Stylo, like really loud and with the bass boosted, and it's what a treat this song is. What a breath of fresh air in the in the pop realm this song was. You have Mos Def with Bobby Womack, like this legend from the 70s, across 110th Street, that amazing song with Mos Def, like. And Moss's flow is kind of a little bit reserved on this one, but just the fact he was even on the track, like, and he gets to go ham on one of the other songs off the record, not this record, but the record that houses Stylo, and that was Sweepstakes. But Mos Def was one of my favorite rappers, and I respected him so greatly, and just having those two together was amazing. Seeing that song live was amazing. Mos wasn't there; his part was pre-recorded, but seeing it performed live was one of the biggest treats. And yeah, I mean, seeing it on Colbert Report already was cool enough, but seeing it in person was, obviously a 6 out of 5 experience. Next up is the crazy fun single, Superfast Jellyfish, which is probably the most fun sounding Gorillaz song outside of Feel Good Inc. maybe, and super catchy. I remember my friend and I memorized the whole song, and the De La Soul part is so fun. And I think we were waiting at a bus stop downtown, and the bus was like an hour late, like one of the buses didn't come, so we just spent time kicking it on the curb, rapping Superfast Jellyfish. This is when Plastic Beach was really new, so over 10 years ago. So, On Melancholy Hill is next, and that's a nice kind of melancholy song in the same vein as El Manana. It's a little bit more upbeat, and it wasn't a huge hit when it came out. It was a single with a music video, obviously, but nowadays, like, it's one of their most streamed songs of all. Like, it's usually like number 2 or 3. It's always up there. People are always listening to it. So I don't know if it was in a show that I don't know about, or a movie, or if it's just, kind of lived on, organically. But the fact that people like this song so much is really cool. And, when Phase 3 came out, Plastic Beach, it was huge, but it wasn't as huge as the last 2 phases, and it didn't go platinum and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't as commercially, huge, again, to use that word again, redundancy, as the 2 prior phases. But now it's really cemented its legacy. It's really cemented its place in the Gorillaz discography, which is good because it's an amazing record as well. Next up is a kind of an offshoot, a B-side from the Plastic Beach sessions, and that's Donkeymatic. And Donkeymatic's a cool little song. I remember the second place I had a roommate, and we had all my CDs on this crazy shelf that went across the whole room, and then I had all my 7-inches on one side. And I've never had a big 7-inch collection, but I remember this one, Donkeymatic, and an Animal Collective one were the proudly displayed, like, off in the forefront. And I remember actually playing the Donkeymatic single sometimes which is something I never do anymore. I never put on 7-inch records anymore, to be honest. I usually just, I have a few, I just get them to collect them, really. And this one has a young talent called Daly or Dally on it. And I can see why this didn't make Plastic Beach, because it wouldn't have really fit in with the track listing in my eyes, and it's not exactly stronger than really any of the songs on the record, but it's still a really good song. And the one thing that really, because I think the first 1 or 2 times I heard it, I wasn't really hugely invested in it, and the thing that really saved it for me, which is kind of funny, is the whole 2D part where he goes, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, and it just, I had the same thing with the Bee Gees song, Stayin' Alive. When I was a teenager, I hated that song. I thought it was so lame. I didn't really see their whole pop genius of the Bee Gees at all, and especially that song. And then eventually the I'm going nowhere, somebody help me, that refrain sold me on the whole song somehow. Like, I just thought that part was so cool. And then nowadays, I like that song. And same thing with this, 2D going, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. They add that in a little later in the track. That part really sold me. I thought that was such a cool little inclusion. Just these genius little moments and things that happen. And, you know, it's obviously not as strong as the 12 songs that come before it on this set. And if they ever did a part 2 or something, you know, Donkeymatic would be kind of lost to time. But you know, it's a cool little song, definitely. And then closing out the set is the Clint Eastwood Ed Case Sweet Ari refix, not remix, refix. And it's just kind of weirdly sped up. The rapping's pretty good, but just the production on the track, the sped up nature of it, for me, kind of ruins Clint Eastwood a little bit. I much prefer, obviously, the original, which is like a 5 out of 5 song, or the Phi Life Cypher version, which you can get off their G-Sides set, which is a B-Sides companion to the first Gorillaz record, the eponymous one, or as I like to call it, Jeep. So that's the only kind of throwaway track in my eyes, or from my ears. And then track 15, closing out the set, is 19-2000, the Soul Child remix, which I talked about when I was talking about the DVD portion. And yeah, like I said earlier, I think that version is as good or better. Or no, I wouldn't say better, but definitely as good. It's a different flavor to the track. And then, yeah, the DVD, I touched upon it, but the DVD has Tomorrow Comes Today. Okay, what's going on here? It is in order. Whatever track list I was looking off from inside wasn't in order, but it is in order. That's good. That would have drove me crazy if it wasn't in chronological order. So I'll just hit this really quick. Tomorrow Comes Today, which is a cool video. Clint Eastwood, 19-2000. Rock the House, which is just a great song, completely silly video. Feel Good Inc., Dare, which is one, I don't like music videos that much, but Dare is one of my favorite music videos of all time. It is so batshit and so awesome. Noodle dancing, Sean Ryder's huge head. It's the funniest thing. I love it. Dirty Harry, Kids with Guns from the Demon Days set live. I would completely recommend anyone that likes the Gorillaz check that out. El Manana, Stylo, which has Bruce Willis in the video. Superfast Jellyfish live from the Roundhouse, On Melancholy Hill, and Donkeymatic, which I believe was kind of like an underwater adventure. And then there's also some bonus extras. But yeah, that's basically it. I think I've run on too long already. But that is the Gorillaz, the singles collection. They're all there, all the singles you want. And all this needs is an update for whenever Do Ya Thing came out with Andre 3000 and James Murphy, immense single. And they need a volume 2 of the singles collection. And they need it with Do Ya Thing, and then of course the Human stuff, and the Now Now, and the Song Machine. So if that ever came out, I would review it. I would buy it in a pinch. That would be crazy amazing. But that's all I got for this one. Peace and love to everyone out there. Stay safe. And please, I've been enjoying whatever comments people have. It's the reason to keep making these videos. So, you know, comment, throw a subscription in, and yeah, hope everyone's enjoying this, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.